The church in South Sudan is alive and it is thriving. It is said to be the only institution that has survived all of these years of war. In our little community, our church meets under 3 mango trees, and our pews are limbs from other trees that have been cut down and that have been set about a foot off of the ground. Our church service will start anywhere between 9 and 11 a.m., depending upon when the pastor of the day gets there, when he thinks there's enough people to start the service. On one Sunday last year was the day of elections, the first day of elections. I was to be the preacher because we do not have a full-time pastor in our church. And knowing that elections were that day and going to start, I knew they'd went to start early. So I decided I would be ready and at the church at 9 a.m. At 8 a.m., I received a phone call, and they said, "We're all here in the church. Could you please hurry up? We're waiting for you." The service will last about 2 hours. On any given Sunday in our church, more than 50% of the people present will be children, 15 years and under, mostly younger. And these children will sit through 2 hours of a church service so they can have 15 minutes of a Sunday school lesson. You can't keep them longer than that because after 2 hours of church, they're tired and they're hungry. But they want to stay and they want to learn. During the church service, like any children, they will start getting antsy and they move around and they'll be talking to their neighbors and just being just generally children. But the elders and the deacons of the church will get switches from the branch of the tree and come over and swat them and tell them to be quiet or to sit still. When I was interviewing one of the deaconesses early after my arrival in Adol, I asked her what she considered the biggest concern of the church. And she said the fact that we do not have a good Sunday school, that our children are not getting a good biblical foundation, and they're going to grow up and leave the church. And it is important for our nation that they stay and learn and become strong Christians. So I sat with her and some of the other leaders of the church, and we wrote a proposal to Presbyterian women for part of one of their offerings, asking for the money to build a building that the children could go to while their parents were in church and have a Sunday school. This was granted, and they worked building it together. They had the money to buy the supplies, but they supplied the labor. They did it over the course of 2 years. They did it in what we call African time. But the women and the youth group of the church made over 7,000 mud blocks to build their building. And then we used cement to put on the inside and the outside and a roof. My last Sunday in Adol was the first Sunday that we were able to use the Sunday school building. We had a small amount of money left, and I sent the people on the committee on Saturday into town to buy some small plastic chairs that the children could sit in and some tables for them to use for coloring, because I had printed off a coloring sheet to go along with our lesson of the day. They bought 40 chairs with the money that they had. We didn't tell the children or any of the parents that we were going to use the new building that day. We just wanted to do it as an unofficial opening so I would be able to be there for the first Sunday. We had 123 children in our building that day. Some of them had never colored before. We had 3 children assigned to each coloring page. They were sitting on the floor. We had to show them how to use crayons. But they were so happy to be not only in their own building, but to be coloring and doing this. As they were leaving, I tried to collect the crayons. And when some of the children realized I was collecting the crayons, they broke them in half, and they would hide one half in a pocket and turn one half in because they wanted to take them home with them. The Sunday school lesson took about an hour that day, and both my coworker and I were tired and were wanting to go to lunch. But there was a group of older children, 15, 16, who were still coloring. And when I tried to collect the crayons, they said, "We're not done yet. We're not going to leave till we finish our paper." On this last Sunday, as I said farewell to the people in my church, they also asked me to bring a message to the people of the United States. They said, "Please, wherever you go, will you tell the people in America that we are praying for them, and ask them to please pray for our new nation. Pray for the leaders of our government, that they will be strong. Pray that the peace we have will remain. Pray for unity amongst all of our people. And pray that God will continue to bless the Republic of South Sudan." Thank you.